One of Israel's greatest supporters in the region is Greece, and a few days ago, Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis said that Israel and her allies must face the hard reality. They must speak hard truths, and Israel's allies must speak these hard truths to Israel about its aggressive military response to Hamas, as European countries increasingly show concern about the proportionality of the retaliation in Gaza. What this means in practice, and what came out in the Turkish news broadcast yesterday, is that Greece is incrementally moving towards the accepting the Turkish position that there should be an international task force to monitor both sides of the conflict and to ensure peace is as rapidly achieved as possible. Mitsotakis says, while we recognize that Israel has the right to defend itself, how it does so actually matters, and it matters considerably. That's exactly the point. So much of Europe as a whole has stood behind Israel since the beginning of the counter-offensive following Hamas's violent attack on October the 7th, which killed more than 1,400 people, which injured so many more. And Europe has said that there's increased concern about the plight of innocent civilians and about the horrifying scenes that have come out of Gaza. Mitsotakis says, as Israel continues with this very, very aggressive military campaign, yes, there will be increased concern about the proportionality of the Israeli response. I'm speaking, he says, as a friend of Israel, and I think that sometimes friends have to speak hard truths to friends. At the end of the day, one needs to recognize that what is the price that one has to pay in order to defeat Hamas, and that is about a strategic goal, and the strategic goal cannot be the eradication of Gaza and the persecution of the civilians in Gaza. There has to be a thought about the day after, and I think Israel's mind needs to be brought to that question, and Israel needs to be encouraged to demonstrate its humanitarian commitments. My own personal attitude is that is not only to increase the length of the pauses, this euphemism which about limited ceasefires on Israel's terms, but also to demand the opening of gates and the care for the injured and the sick, who we're getting to a point where these people cannot be cared for in Gaza, and they cannot wait until the medical tents, these tent villages, which are being set up by Turkey in the south of Israel, or in the on the Egyptian side of the border. It cannot wait for that. It needs to happen now. It needs to happen now, and also the medical ships which are waiting in the Mediterranean near the area. They need to be brought in, and the argument which is put forward by Israel is that Hamas is hiding behind these hospitals and the patients, is using the patients as hostages. Well, the first priority, can't say the first priority, the priority is to free the hostages, whether they are Palestinian or whether they are Jewish. and Israeli. Those hostages need to be freed, and I think Netanyahu's desperation to punish Hamas has blinkered him to the major priority in this war. The major priority is the release and security of the hostages, and the secondary issue is to establish a bedrock on which the security of Israel can be confirmed and can go forward from there. But I'm not at all convinced that this barrage against the Gaza Strip is securing Israel for the future. I think it's potentially fomenting a new breed of resistance, and that is not a positive. Israel needs to listen to its friends, and the Greek newspapers were talking only a day or so ago about the tensions that were developing between, or the tensions that could develop between Israel and Greece because of the Gaza crisis. Instead, it has brought these two countries closer together. But there's not very much coverage in the media about that. In Greece, there is coverage in Turkey, which is interesting and positive.